Today's show, we're going to be talking about who knows what. It's the mystery box. It's the mystery show with my guest coming up next. Stay tuned and we'll find out what we're going to be talking about. Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host, coming to you from Victoria, British Columbia, the capital region of BC. It's a gloomy day today. It's rainy and windy. Typical fall weather. This weekend's going to be that way. So I guess it's a good time to kind of hunker down and watch some podcasts, catch up on any podcasts that you've missed, and great place to check it out is on the PWD Allies podcast. Also joining me this morning is Neil Matheson from Surrey, British Columbia. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
And also joining me this morning is my guest, Cheryl Hardcastle from Ontario. Hello, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Brent, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad.
Good. Well, thanks for having me back and taking this opportunity. We can talk about issues, and are we pushing the needle? What's going on here?
Well, just before you start, Cheryl, the last time you were on was back in, I checked, it was back in May of this year. So it's been a while, actually. It was longer than I thought. So for our audience that doesn't know you, and I don't know who wouldn't know you, but for those that don't know you, give about a 30-second Coles Note version of who Cheryl Hardcastle is.
Okay, great. Well, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I can probably squeeze it all in 30 seconds, I guess. You know, I started out as a journalist, and I was an editor at a local newspaper that's for 20 years. And as you know, a lot of local newspapers are now defunct.
Yeah.
I moved into politics. I was in municipal politics for a long time. I was a deputy mayor for my town of Tecumseh, Ontario, which is right on the Detroit River. If you get out a map where the Detroit River flows into Lake St. Clair. And right across, if I look out a window, I can see on a clear day, I can see Detroit and the Detroit skyline. So we're very close. And Tecumseh is a small town beside Windsor, Ontario. And so I was a councillor on Essex County Council and got involved. And then I became involved in federal politics. And I was a member of Parliament under the Tom Mulcair leadership of the NDP caucus when I was there from 2015, and I was the critic for people living with disabilities. So that work was very important to me, and it was very impactful, and it kept me involved, and it really helped me hone my lens that we use to apply to everything in society when you are a community-minded person. And you know, they say all politics is local. I think another phrase that we hear more now too is act local, think global. But I think when you act local and think local, it naturally rises to thinking global anyway. You don't have to force yourself to think global. It comes from local. Whatever someone's lived experience is, locally, you know that people are having these same struggles. You recognize what are systemic issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we all become political. I know a lot of people tell me, oh, I'm not political. And maybe their idea of what politics is makes them feel that they're not, but everyone is political in some way. We interact socially.
Mm-hmm.
That's what human beings are. We're social animals. We construct societies, and some of us think about why are things done this way, and we should always be trying to improve it, always be making progress, being progressive. That's why I identify myself as a progressive. I don't defend the status quo. I'm always looking for ways that we can improve things and question fairness, right? Question what is equality?
Yeah.
What does it mean for equal opportunities? And that means you have to have a lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a trivial pursuit question that we can throw out, and the trivial pursuit question is, who was the very first guest on Brent's Twitter Spaces back in January of 2022? Who was the very first guest?
Who would that have been?
Who would that have been?
That was so exciting for me.
Yeah, and so that's why we keep
answer to that trivia.
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, and that's why we
Cheryl
keep having you.
Hardcastle.
That's why we keep having you back on all the time, because
Yeah.
So you go way back. Yeah.
We
And
should
to celebrate that, Cheryl, I'm gonna show you our new mugs.
Oh my gosh.
And I've got
that's
one too.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we got a logo on the one side, and then we got a logo on the other side.
We're gonna see if we can mass produce them, but do a little bit of a
And they're great
launch
to,
for them.
to grab onto, like they're really good.
Yeah,
hands.
that's great.
Yeah, it's a really good grip, and it keeps the beverage nice and hot too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I remember having some input when we were talking about people living with disabilities and the importance, like you have on the mug, the importance of that word allies.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone needs to think of themselves as an ally, because if you are someone who thinks, oh, that doesn't affect me, it helps you to think of yourself as an ally. It does affect you. And yes, it can affect you more realistically, as we all know. It doesn't take much for a person to have some kind of an incident happen in their life.
Yeah.
Whether it's an illness, it can be a tragedy, it can be even something that starts out as like minor, can change your whole perspective. And you start, that's when people start realizing how inadequate a lot of our laws are, enforcement, how quickly we move on them, the adequacy, right? A lot of times it takes firsthand experience for people. But you have in your following a lot of people who are not just sympathetic, but empathetic. And we're also people who understand that policy development doesn't happen in isolation. It happens with interaction. And these kind of conversations that you have on a regular basis, what show is this, 250?
It's getting there. It's I think it's 234 now or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
So we're getting close.
Every
we'll have to invite you back for the 250.
Yeah.
Every conversation, we enjoy each other's company, and we talk. We develop camaraderie. We develop the allyship, but also it helps people just to having these conversations specifically about anything under the sun and how you apply that disability lens again. It helps us in our interactions when we're advocating and dealing with other people, right? It helps us in our one-on-one conversations in our communities, and even sometimes people are frustrated and they're thinking, is it just me? Am I crazy? No, you're not.
Yeah.
We all think that this program is set up to fail, or and a lot of times people get told, oh, you have to be positive. But it's okay to have constructive criticism. There's nothing wrong with pointing out where there's an inadequacy and feeling out of subject, and what are some of the ways that we could be progressive on this issue.
And that's the ways of
further,
where you're actually making change to happen, right? It's making change of like positive outlooks, and like non-partisans, like working together across party lines and having great ideas. I mean, there's a lot of different members from different parties that have great ideas, and they just collaborate and work together and change a system that's going to be better for all that need to do it.
Well, you know who had great ideas? There was Benita Zarillo and Mike Morris. Were really strong with the CDB, and let's talk a little bit about that, because you might not be aware, Cheryl, but both Brent and myself do not qualify for the CDB. We found out we both don't qualify for it, and
do you mind sharing why?
Yeah, well, in my case, it was like I do have the DTC, so I've had that for, I don't know, decades, like 30.
DTC being the disability tax credit.
Yeah, so I've had that for.
So you jumped through all the hoops and got that.
Yeah, so I got that, and of course I am on provincial assistance, but so they said, well, you are eligible for it based on those two things, but you don't qualify because your spouse makes too much money. Your spouse makes too much income. So I was disqualified because of my spouse. Yeah.
And what about you, Brent?
And for me, I don't qualify for the DTC because I don't have a family physician, and my old family physician, who once upon a time when I got provincial disability, he refused to fill out the DTC. He knew about the DTC back then, and he wouldn't fill it out. He says, because you're already disabled in British Columbia, so you're a citizen of Canada. So basically anything going forward, you should automatically get it. And that was his wording back then. You will get anything that's federal automatically because you're a citizen of Canada. Yeah. And so he wouldn't fill it out. Going forward, I remember asking different walk-in clinics I would go to, and none of them would fill it out. They said, I don't know who you are. Yeah, I mean, I can look at your medical history, but I don't know.
And your doctor didn't realize he was factually incorrect?
Yeah, exactly.
About the DTC?
He was pretty old school, and so he wouldn't do it. And so I asked the CRA at the time, what do I do? They're like,
what's your recourse?
Yeah, they said basically, unless we have a disability tax credit certificate on file, you're not going to get any of these programs unless the federal government decides to change the amendment on that. And again, based on...
You have a new family doctor?
No.
Yeah, well, because that's what happened to me. Because it was actually when I was 33, and I'm 57 now. I'm going to be 58 next year. But it was 33 when I first got married, where my first wife, and she was disabled in a wheelchair, and she saw me do my taxes, and she says, why aren't you putting down that you have the disability credit? And I said, well, my doctor says that I'm not disabled enough to qualify for it. And I mean, this is a guy that has cerebral palsy, and I have had cerebral palsy my whole life, but this doctor that I had at the time says, oh, you're not disabled enough, Neil, you're too able. And I told this to my wife, and of course she was laughing, like she was literally like rolling on the floor laughing, and she says, go to see my doctor, she'll fill it out on the spot. And so I did, and she did. Her doctor did fill it out. So it's been about 25 years, I guess, roughly, for me that I've had it.
And that kind of goes with what my family doctor said too. Like the federal government wants you to be more disabled. You're not disabled enough. Same Brent. He says that you meet the criteria under British Columbia, under your province, but federally you won't meet their criteria. And he says, and I cannot fill out something that you do not qualify for. He says, I would lose my profession if I were to do that. And I said, well, what about an RDSP? I said, the bank keeps telling me to get one. He goes, you need the DTC in order to get that, and you don't qualify for that. So yeah, I lost out on all the RDSP stuff too. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think enough members of parliament, because they're the ones that can change this. I don't think enough of them understand how subjective, like how much discretion a family doctor can use for that.
Yeah.
And it's all based on the individual doctor and their attitude. It's all them. That's really disconcerting to me, because when these programs, well, specifically when the CBD rolled out, people, how often people in the community of allyship with people with disabilities and people with disabilities, the organizations, the advocacy groups, they kept saying how inadequate the DTC was. They kept bringing back, like I've mentioned before, some of these studies and reports that have been done already at the federal level, whether it's in the Senate or the House of Commons. These committees have done studies and looked and made recommendations. They know exactly what needs to be done because of these reports that have already been done. So that's so frustrating to me that people are missing out simply because from one doctor to the next, wording can be interpreted a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need your doctor. You can't have an adversarial relationship with your doctor. You can't say, I'm never speaking to you again, or disown them. You need your family doctor. So what are you going to do?
Although in defense of that a little bit, I do have to say that, like, when I was younger, I remember reading the tax forms, and on the tax forms, when you got to the disability tax credit part of the tax form, it was extremely strong language, to the point that it was almost saying that you had to be a complete invalid almost to qualify. Like the language was so strong. So I think that is what turned a lot of doctors off.
Yeah, that's what my family doctor had said, and the language and how it was interpreted, and he said he had great difficulty trying to get through there, and he grabbed it and he threw it in the garbage can right beside him. He goes, drops the form. I'm going,
wow. Well, do you know other people who are getting the maximum amount is peanuts, really? It's $200. Do you know anybody who's getting the maximum? I don't know.
No. I know one person myself. My friend Kent is getting the maximum.
Yeah.
But that's the only person I know that's getting it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to ever, because it rolled out, was it July 1st or June 1st?
July, I believe it was.
So I don't know if we have stats yet that can be shared, but like the percentage of people who applied for it, how many are actually entitled to that full amount, and how many are getting like $98 or
I would like to know the breakdown of that.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Just because we knew, I mean, yes, it's a milestone that it got rolled out. I'm not saying it's not, but
Yeah.
it's just that people were so frustrated as it was rolling out to see like how inadequate it was from the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look how long that took.
Oh yeah.
It took so long. No, not taking advice, not improving the DTC first, even with a couple of the recommendations from some of the reports that I've mentioned before that I think, people can look up. You can, if you just go on Google, I think it was in 2016, but you can just type in Senate report on DTC Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the report, and you don't have to even read the whole, you can scroll through the report. It's a PDF file, and go right to the recommendations.
Yeah.
And by reading the recommendations, you'll get a good indication of what the earlier report explains and talks about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really frustrating. We have the Canada Disability Benefit now, but we still have people that not only are they not getting enough, but we have people that are left off because they can't get the DTC, and that's a highly contentious subject.
Well, even in Alberta, apparently the premier there wants to claw it completely off dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
And
they're forcing it as a requirement that you have to apply for it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And yes, if you're entitled to a federal program, you can't get the provincial one unless you apply for the federal one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still threatening that in Alberta, you're saying?
Yeah.
Still saying they're going to claw that back.
Yeah.
Dollar for dollar, eh?
Yeah, and they're requiring it to be done.
So no one's really going to be ahead.
Yeah, no. They're going to completely take it.
It's just going to come from a different funding envelope, and the provincial government looks at it like, we'll save some money then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's a province that already committed. We know there are provinces that did commit to saying not going to claw it back. They did that. I believe they did that in Ontario now.
They did that in BC too, but like, what's the point of saying we're not going to claw it back when, people like Brent and myself don't even qualify for it anyway?
Yeah, because I know in BC they ran with it in their platform, like DTC for the federal, but most people are not going to qualify for it. So it's really frustrating. And the other part too is maybe you know about this, Cheryl, is I heard about their federal government's adjusting the taxation also. I think that's going to be another big problem there too, about the DTC that is taxable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought I heard something about there was a taxation amount on the DTC. I guess taxable income levels. Federal government wanted to kind of mess around with the taxation on that, but who knows? Hopefully they don't go down that rabbit hole because that would not be good. Maybe it's based on household income. I'm not sure, but I mean, I still strongly stand behind that. It should be based on the individual, not the household income for the DTC. I mean, that's how it should have always been done. But here we are.
Well, those are all the promises of it. Yeah.
I just did a quick search for news. So the federal DTC portion is 15% of the disability amount for that tax year.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
The base amount maximum for 2024 is $10,138. The supplemental amount for children is a maximum of $5,914, according to the CRA's indexation chart. Let me see if there's anything in news, if there's any changes coming.
It's time for you to...
Don't see anything quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to
It's time for you to become to become MP again, Cheryl.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you, it's because to become first, okay, you have to get elected, right? If I could just go in and be the MP, that would be great. I'd hit the ground running, let me tell you. But what the hard part is the campaigning first, the fundraising within your party, there's all these processes that have to happen. When you become a candidate, like for no matter what party,
right,
you have to file with Elections Canada that you're a candidate that's identified for whatever the riding is, right? All these different federal ridings. And then there's a whole, like, it's highly transparent, highly accountable process, so that the money that you're spending, you have to start keeping track and filing with Elections Canada even before an election is called. There's a whole process that you follow. I do not miss that. That's the part I don't miss at all. Because fundraising is one thing, and then the record keeping and filing the forms and being responsible, it's a lot of work. And I just would like to, if I could just jump in. That's one of the things that keeps me, like, as a community activist. You try and stay involved in the issues, keep learning about things, make comments, share comments with other people that are elected. And like you mentioned earlier, no matter what party, we have to have common ground and have this collaborative notion when it comes to issues surrounding disability in our country. It's very important. So that's why I keep interested in the issues. But it does get frustrating, and I know for you guys it's got to be even more frustrating with more lived experience with this, and more happens all the time in Ontario. I'll just catch everybody up. I'm sure a lot of your followers are in Ontario too, and they know what I'm going to be talking about. We've had some changes because of land management and the issue of landfills. So historically, we dig a big hole, put all your crap in it. Then it fills up, you dig another big massive hole and put all the garbage in it, right? So every province is doing their own things. In Ontario, recycling was uploaded from municipalities. Municipalities and their solid waste authorities used to have to administer the recycling program. That got taken back by the province and given to a not-for-profit corporation that's now funded by the producers.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so it's no longer the property taxpayer in a municipality that's funding the recycle program through the municipality, right? That's how municipalities pay for programs with property taxes. Now it's through your provincial taxes through this circular materials, it's called. So it's starting on January 1st. Our recycle bins are obsolete. And I'm not sure what kind of recycle bins you all have.
We have
but in Ontario, we have these bins, manageable small bins. You can go buy them at extras at the hardware if you need them. The red one is for cardboard, and is that how it works where you guys are too? The red and the blue one is for plastics and tin cans and that kind of stuff, right? So that's what we had. Long story short, all across Ontario now, municipalities are not responsible for this. It's the packaging producers that are funding this now through another tax scheme. And they fund this company, this not-for-profit called Circular Materials. So Circular Materials started delivering their bins this fall. Massive, big. Are you familiar with a Herbie Kirby?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so they're big curbside bins on wheels, and they have a bar so that the trucks can lift them and pour them in.
That's what they do here too.
So it's specially designed. It's a specially designed one. If you already had a blue giant Herbie Kirby type recycle bin, you can't use them. You have to use the special one that was given to each address. And this is rolling out like across Ontario, okay? They're huge. There's no small option. You've got this one option. So if you are a person
one size fits
with a
all
mobility issue, a disability, maybe you're a senior, I know a lot of seniors have their little carts. They roll their little manageable recycle bin. These things are too huge, but there's no other option. You can only use that one. All these other bins, large, small, if you had a small one that you could manage with your arthritis or whatever and bring it to the curb, those
accessible,
will be obsolete as of January 1st.
They're taking away accessibility.
Yeah, so people living with disabilities and their allies, who are family members, are saying, look, like, I can't bring this to the road.
Exactly.
I don't know how to manage this large bin. I won't be able to do it. I'll have to have somebody come and do it. When you go to the site where, we have an accessibility plan. It's the accessibility plan that they have to have in Ontario doesn't address the issue of the size of these bins. It addresses how you complain. If you're a person with a disability, if you need Braille, if you need a telephone, it's how they accommodate communicating with you. That's their accessibility plan. It does not acknowledge the actual real, the real life conducting of the recycling.
Lived experience.
Which is what they exist for. It only addresses an accessibility plan for how you would communicate with someone who has a disability.
Like what people go through.
So they're totally not even acknowledging this.
They're not connected.
And I hope there's enough public pressure from residents. Contact your member of provincial parliament. You have to contact them and tell them, like, we need an option. We need an option for people who cannot negotiate these large, heavy bins.
They need flexibility.
They want to, they want to participate. They want to be able to recycle responsibly. They cannot manage this size. They cannot be self-sufficient in being responsible and partaking in recycling the way it's working right now. So it's really frustrating because, and that's kind of, that issue is kind of being drowned out by the larger issue for the community at large is kind of frustrated and screaming out about the frustration level of the hypocrisy of this. I have to break up or find another use for my other recycle bins.
Oh, wow.
Well, you can't, because they will not pick them up.
Well, you mentioned provincial politics, Cheryl, and I kind of wanted to save this for another podcast, but maybe I'm not going to save it now because you mentioned the provincial politics. So I kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit. Because you said, make sure the provincial politicians are aware. And I just wanted to say that just yesterday I was watching the live stream of the BC legislature here, and there was an MLA, Tara Armstrong, that stood up, and she's a member of the One BC party, and what she said was very powerful. Just a couple things she said. She stood up and started saying all this. She said, 1 in 20 of all deaths in BC is now by MAiD. 1 in 20 of all deaths in BC, British Columbia, is done by MAiD. And 42% of all MAiD involve PWD, people with disabilities. And of the 42%, they said 1 in 5 were a result of isolation and loneliness. So I mean that's so again you just pointed out that maybe provincial politics is the solution to but then if provincial politics is part of the problem where you have MLAs that are having to stand up and say this is garbage we got to do better. I mean obviously the problem or the rabbit hole runs a lot deeper than that, right?
And it goes back and that's what's so hard, what I found really hard too, just being at the federal level dealing with disabilities. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to parse out these issues and say, oh, that's a provincial issue, that's a federal issue. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned about MAiD and social isolation. The social isolation issues are economic. In many cases, people are feeling isolated. But why? When it boils down to it, there's a financial burden that creates a type of social isolation and a despair within that too. How do you they're also it's all so tightly woven together when something is this is provincial, this is federal. Okay, well, my social isolation stems from my economic isolation, stems from my deep poverty, and I didn't qualify for the Canada Disability Benefit, which doesn't take me out of poverty, which we've talked about before. You haven't brought people above the poverty line.
Right.
So now it's a provincial issue because I'm dependent on my provincial disability benefit. And that is inadequate. It's all woven together. It's very, very difficult.
I'm glad that you mentioned that
because trying to pinpoint.
Because I was just about to actually go there. You actually took the words out of my mouth because I was just going to say it's really all interconnected.
It sure is.
You know, especially when persons with disabilities in Canada are spending anywhere from 60 to 70 to up to 100% of their income on housing because they don't qualify for subsidized housing. And I think in Ontario, I think they call it RGI. But I mean, BC, it's pretty well. It's the same thing. I mean, it's just a different terminology wording. I mean, there's years of at least 14, 15 years waiting list to get into subsidized housing in BC. And one of my neighbors I was talking to this last week, Cheryl, and I said, and the person has multiple disabilities. Some are hidden, some are physical, some are visible. And I said, it's awesome. And I said, we'll have to meet up for coffee one day. And, that would be cool. And I don't judge the person. They don't judge, it's back and forth within the community. We just take each other for who we are because we're just who we are. And I said to the person, just love yourself for who you are. And she goes, oh, absolutely. But we got talking about policies and about rates and social isolation. And I said, well, so what do you want to see? And the person said, well, I just want to be able to just, have the basics in life and just be able to pay my rent, pay my bills, buy my food, buy clothing, have transportation where, if I want to get from point A to point B, and if I can't take it, I need to take a motor coach, and just be able to connect to communities. And I said, right, it's called inclusive, fully inclusive in society. And they said, but the provincial government, they say, well, there's more to do, and they kick the can down the road, and then they blame the other administration government for inaction, and meanwhile it's just Yeah,
That's what it is, eh? It's like, that game, that hot potato.
Yeah, yeah.
Pass the hot
Your turn,
potato.
your turn here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or Peggy in the middle. Here, oh, here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly, yeah, that's exactly right. And that's why a lot of advocates burn out.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I
Yeah.
think a forum like this is important,
Yeah.
because burning out is excruciating. The mental exhaustion it's very painful when someone burns out.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know, you it's not just about picking your battles, and yeah, when they kick the can down the road, you just, okay, I got to have a long game.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to not burn out is to be able to have, like, to rejuvenate yourself.
Yep.
Try and put things in perspective. And a lot of times people can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important for allies. If you have allies as followers here, a lot of times a person who is living with a disability is negotiating these processes for their personal survival.
Exactly.
They don't have energy left
Yeah.
for that political realm, for the realm of policy change and organizing a community and doing a petition and rallying people and making something an election issue, whether it's municipal or provincial or federal. They don't have the energy to keep something in the headlines. It's very much a community effort for us to know what's going on, because people are sharing their lived experience with people.
What I'm hearing is from a few people. I get to know a lot of people in my realm, in part of my community here. I mean, Victoria is such a big area. It's all subdivided in so different districts of.
Yeah.
But I guess just to kind of summarize the conversations that I've had recently and over time, is we talk about social isolation, we talk about subsidized housing, and I say, well, do you want to be in subsidized housing? They're like, no, I want to live where I'm living, but I want to have the actual same criteria that people that are in subsidized housing have in market housing. And the discussion is having it extended over to market housing, so you can still live in your same housing, but the problem is, again, it's based on household income in order to get that program. So it needs to be based on the individual, otherwise it's irrelevant. And I think that people are going to have more money in their pocket. They can put the money back into the community, or they can buy themselves more clothing or whatever they may need, is like providing them with the resources rather than having to apply for different supplements that the government says, well, you can apply for a rental top-up. Well, it's like a rent bank. Well, how do you pay it back if you don't have the income to pay it back? Different
I remember and there are, I would have to dig, but there are studies that make an economic case for local economic stimulus.
Oh yeah.
When, let's say the federal government says, we're going to create this fund to stimulate local economies. Well, think about this. So, this is probably about 20 years ago, when I worked on national pension reform. And there was a committee, and there was, all kinds of data and information that was being parsed out. And I was, preparing some of the reports and things. And if you want to stimulate, and I'm just talking about seniors now, but I know it works with people living with disabilities too. If you want to stimulate your local economies, the best thing to do is increase old age security.
Yeah, OAS, yeah.
If you increase OAS, let's say, $50 a person, that $50 goes back into the community.
Oh yeah.
Your spend locally. And I think it goes for everyone. I believe that there are studies that will bear that out. But if you want to stimulate local economies at the federal level, you're in government, you're, with Mark Carney or whoever, all you need to do is use these existing programs and just increase the benefit, whether it's OAS or CBD. You don't have to create a whole new program.
Yeah.
And do these new programs, once they finally roll out, cost money to establish them and administrate them? Like, are they helping? What are they doing? Like you just talked about someone wanting to be able to live in market housing. We've had this Enabling Accessibility Fund, a federal program, since 2007.
Wow.
When I was in government, one of the big work that I did, we mentioned I was MP. The period that I was the MP and the critic for people living with disabilities, it was the Accessible Canada Act.
Interesting.
And I fought to get the definition made compatible with the UN Declaration on the Rights of People with Disabilities that we were signatories to. You try to make all these things compatible. So I did a lot of work that way. But I don't know, have you ever heard of a landlord, market housing, applying for this fund?
No.
To make housing compatible for someone with a disability, to make an entranceway, because there's minimum requirements. And how often have people with disabilities said these minimum requirements are not enough? You need to make the minimum requirement more so that it's enforceable.
Well, remember,
how many people need a 36? They need a 36-inch. I should be using metric, I guess, probably more for you. I live so close to the States that we still use inches and feet very much so here. So forgive me, but you need, I think the minimum now, it's like 34 inches, but there are so many people who need 36.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. Market housing could be opening up units for people that could live in their unit if just these changes were made. But I never hear of anybody accessing. These are small. This is a fund. It's really small. They just announced it actually for this year. That the government, it's called the Enabling Accessibility Fund, and they've got I don't know how much money in it this year, millions of dollars being awarded, but it's up to like 150,000 or something. So you can get 34,000.
Wow.
But I don't know who's using it and what they're using it for.
Well, you talk about definitions, Cheryl, but let's go back to the most basic definition there is, and that's affordable housing. Like what is affordable? Because I mean,
and to who?
And to who? Because I can use the example here in BC was a couple years ago. We had the Premier David Eby roll out this BC Builds thing, and he said, "I'm going to build tons of affordable housing." And what did the affordable price end up being, Brent? It was between $35,000 to $4,000 a month in rent.
We have the same.
That was affordable. That was the definition of affordable.
Provincially, we have the same problem. What are you calling affordable?
Because I ran
for someone with a median income. There's a formula that should be enforced. It should be regulatory. And it was at one time, like for geared to income, there was like, you should be spending your total income 30% dedicated to housing. I think they've increased it now to 40%. But Brent, you were mentioning just a few minutes ago, people who are spending 70% income on housing because they want to stay put.
They don't
have no other alternative. They're stuck.
They can't find anywhere that's affordable. We lived out in the mainland for years, and before we moved to Victoria, and like we exposed out to like our corporate manager at the time. She was such a lovely lady. I mean, and she gets it, and she goes, I mean, it's all about profit, and like she admitted, she goes, it's about profit. I go, right, but when does profit need to end? Where you're going to price people out of your housing? And so he says, I mean, if you both can find, something that's going to be affordable for yourselves, great. And she was actually helping us. She was actually looking around at places that she used to manage at for herself before she became a manager at our building. And she goes, well, have you talked to so-and-so place? And I said, yeah, and it's not available until the next month. And so it was too late. Like you have to give them and see it. And so it was frustrating. And we stumbled across 8 different corporate management companies, 8 of them. And there was more, but 8 of them. And they all said, no, you need to have no less than $80,000, $100,000 per year. And I said, yeah, but the rent is only going for like 15 at the time. Rents were a lot lower, like 15.10, 15.30. And I said, like, we can pay that between 2 people. And they're like, yeah, but you need to be making at least $70,000 to $80,000 a year. Yeah. I'm like, say what? I go,
that's why. I mean, the private sector, the market, it serves one group. You need public housing.
Yeah.
We need social housing, public housing, however you want to say it, that is geared to income.
Yeah.
You have to have those units. The government, the federal government slowly divested themselves of these projects. Sometimes in different provinces at different times, they carried the ball for a while and then got rid of it, whittled it down. So now we're in this housing crisis.
Yeah.
And it's across the country. I do know that. But that's what it takes. It takes the federal government to recommit to public housing and focus on universal design. All of these, okay, let me just go back to this enabling accessibility fund that I mentioned a minute ago. Okay, so just announced it on October 23rd. So the minister responsible for economic development, Patty Hadju, announced over 35 million under the Enabling Accessibility Fund for 564 accessible infrastructure projects across Canada. Now, I don't know how many of those are actually for housing, because the way you interpret that, did a small business apply for the fund and get it to widen their doorway or whatever it is? I don't know. They don't give details. They give a list of who got it and for how much money. And you can see that on the Government of Canada if you go to Enabling Accessibility Fund.
Well, you know what, Cheryl? We are at the end of the podcast. So
already? Wow.
We've blown past.
Yes.
We're right up against the.
Okay,
the hour
so we'll
here.
do our last wraps then. See that?
And to the hour already. Wow.
Well, one thing I wanted to circle back to before you and Brent give your thing, I just wanted to circle back to the idea of advocates burning out, because, I mean, I remember when I was first really pushing the PWD clawbacks, the clawbacks of pensions and stuff from disability incomes supports. I'm getting my survivor's pension clawback. So it's been 12 years that I've been doing this. But I was going hard for the first couple of years. I was going every week, almost 3 days, I was pushing on another email. I was going hard, right? And then I realized, you know what? The last few years, I basically send out maybe one email a year now. And the last email I sent out, and again, my messaging hasn't changed. My messaging hasn't changed at all. From day one to now, 12 years later, my messaging is the same as it was from day one. And guess what? The last email I sent out was finally picked up by the Ombudsman office here in BC, and they finally said, hey, you know what, Neil? You actually have a good point. about these disability clawbacks being our PWD clawbacks being unfair, being
after 12 years,
being not echo. And so this is after 12 years. And again, my messaging hasn't changed, but I just decided, I'm going to let it go and just let it be, and just kind of give it up to the the universe, and so anyway, that's very intriguing, Neil. Maybe you should have led with that. That's big news.
Yeah, it is big news. When is the ombudsman taking, what's the next steps with this?
Well, they just told me that they're going to do a full investigation. They're really committing to doing a full investigation now. And this is after 12 years of me kind of begging people to do it. So it's been 12 years, and they're finally taking it seriously, going, wow, you actually have a good point here, Neil.
Well, that's
exciting.
Yeah. Pushing on something that benefits all of society. Everybody, Neil. I want to congratulate you. For that, for your pushing your advocacy of wanting to see change happen. And I guess, my ending comment would be also is, pushing for, I always been known as the 375 guy for a shelter rate. And I just kept pushing it between myself and Sonia. We would be advocating, pushing it, and hammering the government every time we'd have an opportunity. Well, we had our one of our former finance ministers, Cheryl. We had, it was awkward, right? Because we were doing canvassing at the time, and we were standing here doing some photos, standing here, okay, stand here, yeah, okay, snaps, photos, And then, so she's standing right beside me. I said, hey, Carol, how's it going? She goes, hey, Brad. I go, hey, I have a question for you. And you could just sense the awkwardness. Like I said, I just want to know when they're going to increase the 375, the shelter allowance. It's up to a livable amount where people can pay market rent. We got to go and do canvassing right now. Well, that's another topic altogether. We'll talk another time. But again, it was about advocating of pushing the narrative of recognizing that there's an inequality here. We need to change the system. So as time went on, I would just post every month, it hasn't been increased. It's been so many months and so many years, and it kept clocking up. And they finally, in 2023, increased it from $375 to $500. So there's obviously a lot more work that has to be done on it. And I don't want to use government lingo if there's more to do, but but to me, it's an accomplishment knowing that.
And when and sharing that encourages other people and it helps them. Like, for instance, even Neil, I hope you will do a podcast regularly and share some of this too, because somebody in Ontario, there's an ombudsman here too. This can be taken,
copied and pasted to other people.
It can be applied, and once they do their investigation, knowledge can be transferred quite easily in today's day and age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important.
You gotta have you have to have these encouraging things, because there are so many people who are just, feeling like they're drowning. They're in despair, don't know where to turn, and having a sense of community. If you can get on the internet, if you can partake in a community like this virtually, but there are some people, their budgets are so limited. Like, how, I don't know, can you get free internet?
Libraries or public spaces. So
you have to get to the library.
Then you still have to get there, but it has to be accessible within your community.
You can't do it from the comfort of your own home.
Maybe you'll be broadcasting from the library soon, Brent. Hope not, but
hope not. No.
No, but that is a factor, right?
Yeah.
How people.
Anyway, we don't want to keep you, Cheryl. We know you have to go, so.
Yes. Yeah. We're gonna say our goodbyes now. This was great. I can't believe how fast an hour goes by.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Goes by so fast, Cheryl. But on our next show, just a little bit of homework for you. See if you could find out more about the new Ontario poverty reduction strategy. There's something that just came out about that. So see if you can.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I will.
And if you want, Cheryl, I think we're, like I said, 15 or 16 shows away from 250. So if you wouldn't, I might reach out to you again for the 250 show.
Yeah, oh, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, take care, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Stay strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Solidarity.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Cheryl, for
Bye,
coming on. And take care, everyone. And thank you for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. Have a great day, and please subscribe, like, and share the content. And have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next show. Take care.